Tuber Garden. My name is Jessica Wright, and I'm the educational coordinator for the Michigan 4-H Children's Garden. And today I'm going to give you a tour of the tubers that we're growing here out in the tuber garden. Now you might say, why do you guys have a tuber garden? Well, the National Science Foundation has funded a grant all about tuber and tuber evolution, and so we created this garden to help with the outreach for that grant. So today we're going to go on a tour, and I'm going to show you what's in the garden, and then we're supposed to get a really hard frost this weekend. So next week we're going to come and actually dig some of the tubers and do some harvesting. So we're going to start here in this part of the garden. This is probably one of my favorite tubers that we found in our search of tubers. And this tuber right here is called crow's knees. And so it was a prolific grower, did great all summer, no pest and disease problems, really nice compact plant. But when we dig up the tubers, you're going to see why it's such a really cool tuber. So that's a fun one. And then in front of it, this is called cinnamon vine, and it has little tiny tubers that look like a pebble. And we've never grown this plant before, so this is another fun one. The tubers, when we dig and harvest next week, we're not going to dig this one. The tubers haven't set on this plant. It's not mature enough, so we're not going to dig this one. This is a plant right here called potato mint. It's a Plectranthus. Again, this is a very vigorous grower. This is actually growing from one central plant, so this was one plant. Like the mint family that it belongs to, you can see it's a very vigorous grower. The head's done very well here in the garden, and so we'll see if we get any tubers off this. Behind here, this plant is the American groundnut. This is another tuber vine. This one has pretty much died back to the ground. We'll dig that one up just to see what's going on with that one. This plant right here is called Yaccoon. This is a very large leafed plant. It's got the leaves on it are really cool. The leaf actually comes all the way down the petiole, which is really cool. It's kind of fuzzy. It has a sunflower looking flower on it, so it does bloom. And the tuber, Norm's gonna zoom in on a piece of the tuber down here. It's gonna be really, really big. This is a perennial though, and I think we're gonna leave it in the ground this year. We're not gonna harvest anything off of it. We'll give it one more year and take a look at the tubers next year. The same with the Jerusalem artichoke behind. Both of these plants got mealybug this year. It was just kind of the year for mealybug, I think. This is a pink Jerusalem artichoke. The same with that. We're not going to harvest that. That is a perennial tuber, and we're going to leave it in the ground this year and give it some time to establish, and then we'll harvest next year. This plant right here that we're growing in the tuber garden is called Aca, and it's a clover that produces a tuber. And so this was a really interesting plant. These are edible too. I haven't mentioned that, and we'll talk more about that when we do the harvesting. But all of these tubers that we're talking about are actually edible, but they're just not well known. People don't cook with them a lot. So this will be a fun one. We're going to experiment with some recipes and see which of these tubers that we like the best for cooking. But this is a really fun one too. I'm excited to dig that one up. In front here were potatoes, so that's probably the most known tuber, right? I mean, potatoes. So these were some red potatoes that we had, and they'd already been, the tops have died back and the potatoes were harvested. This is another Jerusalem artichoke, but this one's red. This one did a lot better than the pink one did in terms of mealybug. It still had mealybug, but not quite as bad. I think it was just location. We also started them in the greenhouse, which they didn't like. So again, we're not going to harvest this until next fall. That's usually when you harvest Jerusalem artichokes, either in the spring or the fall. So we're going to wait on this one and harvest it next year. We also planted some things in the garden that are not tubers but grow under the ground. We just wanted to show people kind of the diversity of roots and tubers and things that grow under the ground. So we'll be harvesting this next week as well, but there's some really amazing things in here. We have some ginger, we have some carrots, we have the most gigantic turnips. So these are some fun things that we'll also be able to harvest next week. And then, again, this was just to show visitors and people with this outreach what the difference between a tuber and a root is. So a root vegetable or root crop would be. Okay, we're back here in the tuber garden, and as you can tell, we have had a hard frost, and today we're going to do some harvesting. We're going to start here in our aca plot and see what's going on underneath the soil. So I'm just going to take a shovel and try to find the base of the plant. You can tell that the plant is grown pretty far from the base, so we're going to try to find the base of a plant and just dig it up. I really don't know what we're going to find here. I'm going to try to dig pretty deep because I'm not really sure how deeply rooted they are. So here's our plant, and here you can see some of our aca. These are called pips. So this is a little tuber, and we've got a few on this plant. Let's dig up another one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 6 of them on there. Let's dig up another plant and see if we can find any more. Place over. We're getting into some potatoes, so I'll try to find just the aca tubers if we can. Ooh, this is a little bit bigger plant, so maybe we'll find a few more. And there are more, and they're bigger, so you can see here. I'm really happy with how many tubers are on there. So what I'll do is to save these tubers for next year, what I'm going to do is I will take them off the plant, and then I'm going to let them just dry just a little bit for a day or so, and then I'm going to put them in some vermiculite and store them in the fridge. So that'll just help to keep them have enough humidity, and it's also going to help so they don't grow, so they'll be in the dark. Okay, we're here. The next plant we're going to try to harvest is the American groundnut. And so I'm going to take the trellis off, and we're just going to dig and see what we can find under here. There's much to harvest. These plants weren't, there's some stuff under here. These plants weren't super happy this summer, but there's quite a few tubers on there. You can see from that one plant. I'll get you a close-up view of what the tuber looks like. There's a lot more than I thought. This was the happiest of the 2 plants. This plant had a little bit harder time this summer. Let's see if there's anything in here. Oh my, this was the original pot. So this is just what it had on it originally. So it kind of just stayed in its pot shape. I'll save them and see if we can start some more vines from these. But yeah, this one just kind of stayed in its pot. This one I'm probably most excited about just because the tubers are really interesting looking. It's not like anything we've ever really grown before. So we're going to dig a few of these up and see what's going on. Oh, they're pretty dense in there. I planted them pretty close together. So they've kind of made this mass. So next year I might plant them a little further apart. Oh my goodness. Stuff in the bed here. Try to get a piece out. You can kind of see all the white roots. Oh my goodness. I think we're going to have lots and lots of crow's knees. This is great. This is really great. I'm going to they've kind of grown along the edge of the bed, But these are edible. I've seen lots of recipes online for these. Crow's knees. Oh, we got upset some ants there, but yeah, they're just really kind of an interesting shape. Kind of look like a little worm or a maggot, which is kind of cool. So yeah, we've got a bounty of crow's knees, which is